We all want to be liked. That's the hidden truth we rarely admit. No matter how strong, independent, or self-assured we claim to be, deep down, there's a quiet voice that asks, do they like me? Do I matter to them? It starts in childhood when approval is tied to love. A smile from a parent, praise from a teacher, the acceptance of a group of friends. All of it builds a blueprint in our minds. To be liked is to be safe. And so we grow up chasing this feeling, trying to say the right thing, wear the right clothes, carry the right energy. But here's the paradox. The harder you try to be liked, the less likable you become. Think about the last time you met someone who seemed desperate for approval. Maybe they laughed too hard at jokes, nodded too often, or constantly adjusted themselves to fit the group. On the surface, they were agreeable, but underneath, something felt off. Not because they were unkind, but because their energy told you one thing: I need you to like me. And neediness, whether in friendships, relationships, or social circles, quietly repels. Now compare that to the people who seem effortlessly magnetic. They walk into a room, and something about them draws others in. Not because they're the loudest, the funniest, or the most attractive, but because they carry a sense of ease. A kind of quiet confidence that whispers, I am enough, with or without your approval. This is the secret to being likable without trying: authenticity. But authenticity is not about bluntness, arrogance, or just being yourself in an unfiltered way. It's deeper than that. Authenticity is alignment between what you think, what you feel, and what you express. When you say yes, it's because you mean yes. When you laugh, it's because something truly struck you as funny. When you listen, it's because you're present, not because you're planning the perfect response. People are drawn to this kind of congruence because it's rare. In a world filled with masks, authenticity feels refreshing. But here's the irony. The moment you chase authenticity as a strategy to be liked, it stops being authentic. You can't fake realness. You can't pretend not to care what others think while secretly obsessing over it. So the path isn't about learning how to perform likability. It's about unlearning the need for it. Imagine a scale. On one side, approval. On the other, rejection. Most of us live our lives swinging between the two. When we're approved of, we feel high. When we're rejected, we collapse. But the people who are truly magnetic are those who step off the scale entirely. Their sense of worth isn't dictated by others. This doesn't mean they don't care about people. In fact, they care deeply. But their care comes from abundance, not from fear. They don't need you to like them to feel whole, which is why you often end up liking them even more. There's a strange paradox here, almost cruel in its simplicity. You are most likable when you no longer need to be. Think about your closest friends. Why do you like them? It's not because they constantly try to win your approval. It's because around them, you feel at ease. You sense that they're not wearing a mask. And that permission, the freedom to also be unfiltered, is one of the most attractive forces in human connection. So how do you reach this place? How do you become likable without trying? It begins with presence. Instead of focusing on how you appear, focus on where you are. Listen, not to respond, but to truly hear. See people not as mirrors of your own worth, but as individuals carrying their own hidden struggles, dreams, and fears. It continues with acceptance, self-acceptance, first and foremost. You don't have to be the funniest, smartest, or most impressive person in the room. In fact, when you drop the need to prove yourself, you create space for others to relax. Likeability is less about performance and more about the comfort people feel in your presence. And finally, it's sustained by honesty. Not brutal, sharp-edged honesty, but gentle truth. The ability to express what you think and feel, even when it risks disapproval. Ironically, this is what earns the deepest respect. So the art of being likable without trying is not about adding anything new to yourself. It's about removing what was never yours to carry, the constant need for validation. Because here's the deeper truth. Most people are too consumed by their own worries to spend much time judging you anyway. The spotlight effect, the idea that everyone is watching you, is mostly an illusion. People are, more often than not, worried about whether you like them. So instead of obsessing over whether others approve, shift the focus. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I present in this moment? Am I at ease with myself? Because when you are, something remarkable happens. The energy of effort falls away. And in its place, you radiate something infinitely more powerful, ease. And people are drawn to ease. They are drawn to those who don't demand attention but naturally receive it. They are drawn to those who don't crave validation, but who embody it from within. In the end, the paradox of likability is simple. The less you try to be liked, the more likable you become. So stop chasing it. Stop performing. Stop measuring your worth in the eyes of others, and instead, start living. Start listening. Start being. Because in being, in simply existing as your most honest self, you give others the rare permission to do the same. And that, perhaps, is the essence of true likability.